Hi, I'm Louise Tribe with the Charlotte New Home Link. We are here today at Superior School of Real Estate to learn more about the Charlotte area new home construction. My special speaker is Chuck Graham of Newton Home Consultants.
And I want to review some kind of general economic notes that you would think about with regards to any marketplace, kind of what's happened to Charlotte historically, where we are, and maybe what Moody's is projecting for us for 2014 and beyond. The first one is gross metro product. Same thing as gross national product, only this is just looking at Charlotte's economy. And you'll see that 2008 was the previous peak at about 83.1 billions of dollars. And so if you think about the Charlotte home building industry, the unpleasantness was late coming here, if you remember. And of course, we thought that's not going to happen. Hey, we're the banking capital of the world. Why would that be a problem? Well, as it turned out, banking was the problem. And so all the unpleasantness eventually came here. But what was interesting about it, all the national builders had seen it happen earlier in other markets. So they were ready to turn the switch off as soon as it happened here. So we didn't end up with these huge inventory overlays, and we also didn't have the same price depreciation at other markets. So we were a little bit protected, not as much as we would hoped we were going to be protected, but because of that, it was a little bit better for us. The 2014 projection is about 94.5, and that's 3.3% greater than 2013. And if you think about all the national GDP numbers, we're trying to scratch our way out of 2%. So clearly Charlotte is at a higher range as far as projections with regards to its gross metro product, which is good for us. The next one is total employment. Again, that peaked in 2008 at about 858,000. We finally surpassed it in 2013. What that means is 9, 10, 11, 12, took us 5 years to restore our previous peak in employment. And of course, employment is really what drives our industries, both the existing home and the new home marketplace. You often hear population projections, which I'm going to show in a little bit, but population don't buy houses, households buy houses, and you need employment to convert population to a household. So employment's very critical to our industry. 2014 projection is about 890,000, which would be 2.3% greater than 2013. And again, that's about twice the national projection. So Charlotte's standing good from that perspective. Employment rate, the previous peak was 2010. And of course, peak of unemployment is a bad thing rather than the other ones which were good things. 2013 was 8.7% dropping. The projection for 2014 is 8%. As you might imagine, unemployment statistics are very difficult to kind of understand what they're about. I think we all know the real issue is the participation rate. And so our unemployment rate's been dropping, but much of it has to be with people dropping out of the market, which is not very good. We're running at about 6.5% nationally, so 8% sounds fairly obnoxious for Charlotte. But what I would say is the difficulty here is most people who do not have a job realize Charlotte is a place to look. And so we have a lot of people moving to Charlotte without a job, looking for a job. And I believe that's one of the reasons our unemployment rate is as high as it is, because we have a lot of people who came to town without a job who are indeed searching. They have not dropped out. They are not hurting our participation rate. They are still searching. So 8% is not wonderful, but I think there's some reason why ours is surpassing the national numbers. Personal income growth, 2010 was the previous peak, increased about 9.4%. 2013 was 4.2%, And Moody's is projecting a 7.5% increase in 2014. I think that's a little bit of Kool-Aid, but you go tell your brokers and tell your builders that your commission rate should increase 7.4% and see if that plays. It's worth a try, okay? And then we have population growth projected at 2.2% in 2014 to about 1.9 million for the MSA. That's really moving Charlotte up in its size and scale. Forbes ranks Charlotte 7th most dynamic market in the United States right now. That's pretty hot and furious to have that showing up for us. So if we were going to be in the real estate business, in the residential real estate business, and we were going to pick a town to be in, Charlotte would certainly be high up on your list, because that just shows how smart we all are that we're living in Charlotte, right? Okay. Good stuff there. Single-family permits, 2006 was the previous peak, a little more than 20,000. The 2013 projection was 9,950, and this PROCES data was done in November, so they didn't have the actual numbers. That was really about the number of single-family permits we produced, about half the previous peak. And here is the real piece of Kool-Aid, is that Moody's is suggesting in 2014 we'll go to 15,000 single-family permits, a 50% increase. So I don't have a problem critiquing that. Get your cup of Kool-Aid out. That's kind of how I feel about that. But interesting, Mr. Crow, who is the chief economist with the National Association of Home Builders, is projecting a 33% increase nationally. So if the nation's at 33%, that certainly suggests Charlotte's going to be higher than the 33%. I hope I'm wrong. Wouldn't it be wonderful if that happened? I don't think it's possible. There may be a demand for it. I don't think there's supply for that to happen for us. And next one is average existing home price in 2007, which was the previous peak, was 156,000, surpassed in 2013 to 173. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 6 years to bring the previous peak of existing homes back up to where they were. And we also know Charlotte was not as violent in those issues as places like Phoenix. So an incredible unpleasantness that we've all been through on that side of the equation. So those are some kind of general economic looks at Charlotte versus the nation, what the 2014 projections may or may not be, depending upon how Chuck feels about it and how the real world plays out for us, okay? The summary of Moody's report is here. The Charlotte-Gastonia Rock Hill recovery will outpace that of the U.S. next year as the large service sector. Of course, we often hear the service sector of people flipping hamburgers, but the service sector also importantly includes financial professional business services, which are very high income issues, which helps us sell those expensive houses. And although the banking industry certainly hurt us, it's a very powerful driver with regards to financial and business services. And those are high income positions for us. Well above population growth, which I also referenced a little bit earlier. We have people coming to town without jobs because they think this is a place to find a job, and it is, but not quite as many as come into town are going to find those jobs for us going forward. Well above average population bodes well for expansion of healthcare, consumer industries, and housing. Good stuff. And lastly, Charlotte will outperform the state and the U.S. through 2017. Now, what economists would have the nerve to project what's happening in 2017? I don't know, but hey, somebody did, and good stuff. I think when national companies read all this stuff from Moody's, it puts us on the list as far as I need to move my business there. I need to improve the situation. And we also have lots of interesting things as Charlotte tries to reconfigure its economy. Charlotte is an incredibly diversified economy, even though we were such a huge banking capital. But we're working on energy with Duke Energy, the largest energy company in the United States. We're working on cloud-based data up at the university, lots of industries that we are trying to bring to town to kind of reconfigure us and change our position as to being only a banking capital. We also have the incredible thing happening out of the airport with the multimodal. Charlotte has historically been a transportation center with our 2 expressways crossing. And the intermodal connecting train, rail, and trucking is believed to be incredibly strong, particularly if we ever get the Panama Canal widened. You've been reading obnoxious things about that, but that widening of the canal is terribly important to our intermodal being able to do what it would hope to be. So again, great spot for us all to be. Regardless of what happens nationally, Charlotte will be better than the national position. Well, now we have this horrible exhibit with all these numbers on it. And so what I want to do is to talk a little bit about the housing economy as opposed to the general economy that I've just finished up. What we've got here is an exhibit that has every year marked. Here's 2006, the peak of the market. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I would describe as the trough of the market, and 2013, the 12 months we've just finished, okay? And then we have a whole series of measures here with regards to the housing market. And over here we have the percentage changes from 2006, the peak, from the trough, wherever that was, and 2013 versus 2012. Some of these exhibits will be posted on the link that Louise was saying. This is not one because I don't think many people like to look at this many numbers at one time. But if you'll give me your business card, I'd be glad to send it to you as well. So let's see a little bit about what's saying here. If we start up here with single-family lots, you'll see in 2006, 22,000 lots were closed in the Charlotte marketplace. And if you go over here to 2009, the trough of the market, and the troughs are all marked with little boxes around them, was only 5,000 lots. So the lot market dropped 75%. So you probably heard all these poor stories about developers during this period of time. Well, now you understand a 75% drop. Can you imagine any industry still being alive with a 75% drop? Same thing really goes for home building, incredibly obnoxious period of time. Then if we look here about lot prices, let's see here. Doesn't seem to want to back up, does it? There we go. If we look here at lot prices, you'll see the peak here was about 33,000. It really didn't drop very much. Lot prices kind of stabilized during this period, although the velocity went down. It's kind of like, I don't have a choice. I still need the same amount of money to sell a lot. And of course, that was a big issue that was facing the developers because not enough lots were being closed. And then we have the interesting thing here about the lot to package ratio. Incredible stat in the building industry. What percentage of the package price of my house is the lot? And historically speaking, that number in the Southeast has been about 18%. And a very important measure on the home building side. So you'll see here about 17.2, it dropped to about 15%, and it's still pretty low in the 16% range, despite all the stories we're hearing about lot prices and land costs going forward. Then the next set of numbers here deal with permits, and they're split between condominiums and townhouses in the subtotal for the attached market. And then we also have the single-family market in the totals. So over here we have 27,000 permits in 2006, the peak of the market. Down here in 2010, 5,500. That also, interestingly, is a 75% drop on the new home building side. 75% was a lot more horrendous on the development side than it was on the building side. And again, 75% was about the national average as to what happened. So Charlotte was kind of gentleman C. We were somewhat protected in that we didn't have all that extra inventory because the Publix dropped us off immediately and prices were somewhat stabilized. but the velocity in Charlotte dropped just as it did nationally, a little bit late in the situation. We might look a little bit at the attached market. My good buddy Lindsay Logue here makes a strong market on the attached world. And let's look here at condominiums. We have probably a peak here in 2006 at about 1,700 permits, and we still haven't found the trough. I have 2013 boxed as the lowest number from 2006. Now, does that mean the cup is half full, or does that mean the cup is half empty? I think it suggests there's room for new condos. But of course, you all know how difficult it is to finance new condos, how difficult it is to get mortgages for new condos. So that's kind of the supply side of that. Clearly, there is room for some new condos. Here we are in 2013, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 6 years, and we still haven't seen the trough in new condo permits. I guess on the other side, we have all the uptown high-rise, many of which were converted to rental. So as those people see things picking up, we're going to see some reconversions back to for sale on the condo side.